Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next 30 minutes. President Draupadi Murmu confers India's highest civilian award, Bharat Ratna, for luminaries honoured for their exceptional service to the nation. Israel denies claims of airstrike on a vehicle carrying United Nations observers in Lebanon. 4 UN officials wounded in the attack. And India's Rohan Bopanna with his Australian counterpart Matthew-Ebden all set to play their Miami Open Super Finale tonight in men's doubles category. President of India, Draupadi Murmu, presented Bharat Ratna, India's highest civilian award, at an investiture ceremony held at Rashtrapati Bhavan on Saturday. It is awarded for exceptional service and performance of the highest order in any field of human endeavour. Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and other dignitaries were present at the ceremony.
Bharat Ratna is the highest civilian award in India, rewarded for the paramount degrees of national service and recognition of exceptional performance in any field of human endeavour. President Draupadi Murmu awarded the posthumous Bharat Ratna award to former Prime Ministers Chaudhry Charan Singh and P.V. Narasimha Rao, along with former Bihar Chief Minister Kapuri Thakur and agronomist M.S. Swaminathan. Their relatives expressed the joy and pride while receiving the award as they remembered the luminaries. Chaudhry Charan Singh, the former Prime Minister of India, was a multifaceted personality, an ardent patriot and an able administrator. He was also known to be a great scholar of Indian economics and planning. His grandson Jayant Chaudhary was thankful to the Indian government for recognizing the efforts of Chaudhry Charan Singh as an Indian citizen.
I am very happy. My family was here. Many members have come from abroad to witness this historic occasion. And we are all feeling very, very proud for our countrymen, for the long journey that my grandfather took from the village to the echelons of power. And it has been recognized at the highest level. The highest civilian award has been bestowed upon him. And through that award, I feel that same spirit of pride and emotion is being felt across the country today.
Kapuri Thakur, the former Chief Minister of Bihar, was a freedom fighter, a visionary statesman and a champion of the cause of farmers, women and disadvantaged sections of the society. His son Ramnath Thakur reiterated the politician's effort for the weaker communities of the society and expressed his gratitude for the award.
मैं बहुत खुश हूँ और मैं ही नहीं, पूरे बिहार के लोग, पूरे हिंदुस्तान के लोग जो उपेक्षित थे, दुखी थे, भारत सरकार ने ये समझा कि जननायक कर्पूरी ठाकुर जी को भारत रत्न दिया जाए और उन्होंने 36 वर्षों के बाद दिया.
Dr. Monakombu Sambasivan Swaminathan was the legendary father of India's Green Revolution. His role was instrumental in creation of agricultural research in other developing countries as well. He brought attention to women in rice farming and strengthened agricultural research across Southeast Asia. His daughter Nitya Rao remembered her father's work while expressing gratitude for the award.
We are very happy that he has received this honour today. His whole life was dedicated to farmers' welfare and farmers' well-being, and his biggest dream was that India should be not just a food secure but also a nutrition secure country where every citizen will have sufficient good quality food to eat and no one will go to bed hungry.
All the recipients of Bharat Ratna Award have been honoured for their dedication towards the country and their distinguished contribution in their respective fields. Bureau Report, DD India.
Let's now get you the latest on what's happening in India's run-up to the world's largest democratic elections. India's Election Commission has issued a notification banning the conduct, publication or publicizing of exit polls between April 19th till June 1st, when votes will be cast for Lok Sabha and Assembly elections to be held in 4 states, including northeastern states of Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, eastern state of Odisha, southern state of Andhra Pradesh, as well as by-elections to be held across different states. BJP President JP Nadda announced the Election Manifesto Committee for the upcoming Parliamentary Elections 2024. The party has appointed Union Minister Rajnath Singh to lead the committee, aiming for a 3rd consecutive term in the centre. Also, Union Ministers Nirmala Sitharaman and Piyush Goyal will serve as convener and co-convener, respectively. 27-member list released by the BJP also includes the names of recently elected Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, Vishnu Dev Sai, and Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Mohan Yadav. The party has also appointed Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma as a member of the Election Manifesto Committee. Indian National Congress's General Secretary Jairam Ramesh addressed the media ahead of India Opposition Bloc's rally scheduled at the national capital in New Delhi on Sunday.
लोकतंत्र को बचाना मुद्दा है, संविधान को बचाना। व्यक्ति केंद्रित रैली नहीं है। दूसरी बात मैं कहूं, ये किसी एक पार्टी की रैली नहीं है। कुछ 28 पार्टियां इसमें शामिल हैं। सारे इंडिया गठबंधन, इंडिया जनबंधन इसमें शामिल है।
Former member of Karnataka BJP Legislative Council, Tejaswini Gowda, rejoined India's opposition party, Congress, today. She tendered her resignation from her post on Wednesday. Earlier, Dr. Tejaswini was Congress member of the parliament between 2004 to 2009. South Chennai BJP candidate Tamilisai Soundarajan met with BJP national spokesperson C.R. Kesavan today. During their meeting, Kesavan called Soundarajan Modi ki guarantee for South Chennai. Opposition member of Maharashtra Legislative Assembly and politician from Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray wing of the Shiv Sena party, Ambadas Tanve, has dismissed the rumours of him joining Bharatiya Janata Party or Eknath Shinde-led faction of Shiv Sena. He reassured his respect for Balasaheb Thackeray and said he will continue to act from his current party. Archana Patil Chakura, daughter-in-law of senior Congress leader and former Union Home Minister Shivraj Patil, joined the Bharatiya Janata Party in the presence of Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis in Mumbai. Now, elections in India have been festive occasions, almost like carnivals. Citizens choose leaders for their local bodies, state legislatures, and of course, their nation, India. Here's a report on scale and vastness of elections in the country.
These are not moments of jubilation for a marriage or a family occasion. Neither it's the fervor of Diwali, the celebration of light, or Holi, the festival of colors. These are celebrations India witnesses round the year, the celebrations during the festival of elections. These happen in different pockets of India at different times of a year, and it happens almost every year. The objective of these festivities celebrated by citizens of India is to choose leaders and representatives who would run their municipalities, states, and also their nation, India. The carnival of the world's largest democracy is set to reach its peak in the next few weeks across all pockets of the country as India prepares for the general elections. It's a carnival in every sense of the word, in terms of spectacle of colors, hurly-burly, noise and exuberance. It's a festival of people's participation to run a country that has set benchmarks hard to match anywhere else in the world. The festival is observed by all Indian adults who are 18 years and above. The organizer of the major elections across the country is the Election Commission of India, or the ECI. The Election Commission is an autonomous body set up under the provisions of the Indian Constitution. It's responsible for administering the national and state election processes in the country. The body conducts and supervises elections to the Indian Parliament, comprising the Lok Sabha, the lower house, and the Rajya Sabha, the upper house. It is also responsible for the elections to the legislative assemblies and legislative councils of the 28 Indian states and the offices of the President and Vice President of India. Elections in 3 union territories, including India's capital New Delhi, Puducherry and Jammu and Kashmir, is also conducted by the Election Commission. In the elections to the Lok Sabha, citizens of India vote directly to elect the representatives in the Parliament's lower house. These elected members eventually decide on the country's Prime Minister, usually the leader of the party or the coalition with maximum representation in the House. The elections to the state assemblies decide on the heads of the state governments, known as the chief ministers. This year too, the ECI is slated to conduct elections in 6 Indian states, but the mother of all polls, the general elections, is being organized by the ECI, its first major assignment this year. The election authority is all geared up for the biggest task. This is the exercise it undertakes once every 5 years. It now faces the Herculean task of conducting elections to the 543 seats of the Lok Sabha, the lower house of the Indian Parliament, which would involve huge logistic, security and organizational engagement. The winners of these seats will eventually decide the next national government and the Prime Minister of the world's largest democracy, India.
And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. US President Joe Biden says he will go to Baltimore next week following key bridge collapse earlier this week. Dutch hostage situation in a nightclub ends with the release of the last hostage and the arrest of a suspect.
Is Indian judiciary really being undermined? Is there a threat to the judicial process?
Such attempts are being made to scandalize the institution, to tarnish the image of our judges through social media and the print media.
We should ignore such tactics, underhanded tactics. At its own peril, they come with the consequences.
If something is said about the judiciary, positive manner, and the criticism is still there, it is welcome. It is a welcome move.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. As efforts to secure a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas conflict continues, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has agreed to send delegations to Egypt and Qatar to push forward the negotiations. Negotiators have been trying to secure the release of Israeli hostages as part of a possible Gaza ceasefire deal. Meanwhile, United States under Biden administration has said to have authorized transfers of billions of dollars in more bombs and fighter jets for Israel. The Israeli army released a footage on Saturday showing strikes on Hamas targets in Gaza. The army describes the targets as Hamas infrastructure and a tunnel shaft. Israel says it is targeting Hamas militants who use civilian buildings, including apartment blocks, hospitals, for cover. Hamas has denied the claim. Meanwhile, 4 United Nations observers were wounded on Saturday when a shell exploded near them as they were carrying out a foot patrol in southern Lebanon. The UN peacekeeping mission said it was still investigating the origin of the blast. The UN statement says the targeting of peacekeepers is unacceptable. 2 security sources say the observers were wounded in an Israeli strike, but Israeli military denied striking in the area. The UN Technical Observer Mission, which is unarmed and is known as UNTSO, monitors the demarcation line between Lebanon and Israel. The organization is an armed peacekeeping mission. DD India correspondent Alex Kadia gets us more on the issue.
After pulling negotiators out of the ceasefire process, the Israeli government has decided to put negotiators back in. So we understand that officials from Shin Bet, the security agency, officials from the Mossad, the Israeli intelligence agency, will engage through mediators, of course, with Qatar, Egypt and the United States mediating to try and reach a ceasefire deal. They had previously pulled out of the negotiations because Hamas had refused the latest offer tabled by the United States and accepted by Israel. And Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that the UN Security Council resolution calling for a ceasefire in the release of the hostages had emboldened Hamas to do so. So the terms as they stood then were 40 Israeli hostages, that women, elderly and injured hostages, released in exchange for 700 Palestinian prisoners, 100 of which are serving life sentences for murdering Israelis. And that would have been the basis of the deal, but Hamas rejected that, saying that Israel had refused other parts of a ceasefire deal, including the full withdrawal of its troops from Gaza, the full return of civilians to northern Gaza, and a much longer lasting ceasefire as well, things that Israel at the moment cannot contend with and cannot accept. But there is enormous international pressure now on Israel to continue with these ceasefire talks, to reach a deal, because of the situation on the ground in Gaza is so desperately dire for civilians, Palestinian civilians there, as we understand. So certainly a lot of pressure on Israel to reach a deal. We understand the head of Shin Bet, Ronan Bar, and the head of the Mossad, David Barnea, will not be traveling to Cairo or Doha yet. But if those early stages of negotiations go well, maybe the senior leadership of these organizations may then travel to Doha or Cairo to reach a deal.
A hostage situation at a nightclub in eastern Netherlands ended on Saturday as police freed all the hostages and arrested a person suspected in the incident. The police says there were no indications of a terrorist motive. It is also said that 150 homes were evacuated and public was asked to stay away from the area. As per media reports, a gunman took several people hostage earlier on Saturday at a Petticoat nightclub and threatened to detonate a bomb. Moving on, a major cleanup effort is underway in the US city of Baltimore, where crew are beginning to clear up the wreckage left by a collapsed bridge. Earlier this week, a cargo ship collided with Francis Scott Key Bridge on Tuesday. It remains in the middle of the Patapsco River, blocking shipping traffic. Officials say they are working full speed to reopen the vital shipping channel. DD India Sally Patterson has more.
Governor of the US state of Maryland, Wes Moore, says workers at the scene have an incredibly complex job on their hands. They're tasked with cleaning up to 4,000 tons of debris left behind after Tuesday's bridge collapse in Baltimore. Authorities believe the bodies of 4 of the victims, who are presumed dead after the collision, could be buried underneath the rubble. Governor Moore says recovering them is a top priority to bring closure, he says, to their families. His state has been awarded an initial $60 million in emergency funds by the US government to clear the vital waterway and begin rebuilding the bridge.
To know that out there you have to navigate high winds and electric wires, to go out there and to see it up close, you realize just how daunting a task this is. You realize how difficult the work is ahead of us. With a salvage operation this complex, and frankly, with a salvage operation this unprecedented, you need to plan for every single moment, and every time you take action to move a piece of wreckage, you understand that that requires you to reassess the situation.
US President Joe Biden has promised to pay for the reconstruction, stressing the importance of the Port of Baltimore to the economy. More cars and trucks go through that port each year than any other in the country. And last year it transported $80 billion worth of goods. There are concerns that there could be a spike in prices, at least temporarily, while supply chains are disrupted. And more locally, at least 8,000 workers on the docks have jobs that are directly impacted by the collapse. Meanwhile, the National Transportation Safety Board is investigating what caused the incident. The agency is interviewing the crew members from the ship, which was headed to Sri Lanka. It's also revealed the cargo ship was carrying 56 containers of hazardous materials, some of which spilled during the crash. The agency's chair called the investigation a massive undertaking, which could take up to 2 years to complete. Sally Patterson in New York, reporting for DD India.
And US President Joe Biden says he will go to Baltimore next week following Key Bridge collapse earlier this week. Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed early on Tuesday after a cargo ship that had lost power hit the bridge in Baltimore Harbor in Maryland. Meanwhile, US government has approved an emergency fund of $60 million for the bridge's reconstruction. On to some other news. In the latest from the massive Russian missile and drone attacks hitting the thermal and hydropower plants in central and western Ukraine in an overnight attack targeting the country's already damaged power infrastructure. Kaniv hydropower plant was among the targets, along with Dniester plant located on the Dniester River. Last week, Russia also hit Ukraine's largest dam, the Dnipro HES, in the southern Zaporizhzhia region. Ukraine received $1.5 billion tranche of funding under a World Bank program to help it pay for its budget and social spending. And DD India's Tasha Chernyshova gets us more from Moscow.
Of the Russian Federation, it is so close to the Ukrainian side that it is the subject of constant attacks from the Ukrainian armed forces. Now, we understand that a teenager has been injured in the most recent shelling in the Bryansk region, which is also nearby. But on a daily basis, we hear about drones and missiles being fired against the civilian targets in those border areas. Now, speaking of Belgorod, we understand that children have been taken outside this region, at least those who have been willing to do so, and the education for those remaining in the region will now be proceeded in the distant format. They will be studying online because of the risk of the security, because of this Ukrainian shelling. The day before, we've heard from the authorities in the Belgorod region that a drone has hit the multi-story building, killing at least one person. So on a daily basis, the reports of Belgorod region, as well as Bryansk region and Kursk region, which are all close to the Ukrainian border, being hit by the Ukrainian fire, are constant now, and that's why the Russian authorities insist they continue with their so-called special military operation in Ukraine, now hitting the energy targets.
Let's now take a look at other stories making news today. India's President Draupadi Murmu greeted the nation on the eve of Easter. In a message, President said, and I quote, "On the auspicious occasion of Easter, I extend my greetings and good wishes to all citizens living in India and abroad, especially Christian brothers and sisters. The festival marks celebration of Jesus Christ's resurrection and is a symbol of love and compassion." India's Union Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat filed his nomination from Rajasthan's Jodhpur constituency for the third time. On Saturday, he also addressed the nomination rally at Polo Ground in Jodhpur. Rajasthan's Chief Minister Bhajan Lal Sharma, MLAs of 8 assemblies and a large number of BJP workers were present on the occasion. The special cell of Delhi Police filed a charge sheet against news portal NewsClick in Delhi's Patiala House Court on Saturday. The police team brought 8,000-page charge sheet copy and relevant documents in the court. The Atal Tunnel, also known as Rohtang Tunnel in Himachal Pradesh, received fresh snowfall on Saturday. Snowfall started in Lahaul Spiti amid orange alert of heavy rainfall in the state. The area is receiving heavy snowfall due to active western disturbance. On to sports now. India's seasoned player Rohan Bopanna and his Australian teammate Matthew Ebden will take on Croatia's Ivan Dodig and his American partner Austin Krajicek in the Miami Open finals today. The duo sealed a solid straight sets win over Spain's Marcel Granollers and Argentine partner Horacio Zeballos by 6-1, 6-4. Earlier, the Indo-Aussie pair beat Australia's Sam Wabik and his Netherlands partner John Patrick Smith in the quarterfinals. On to cricket. In IPL, Lucknow Super Giants will lock horns with Punjab Kings at the Ekana Cricket Stadium in Lucknow today. Both teams are hungry for redemption following recent defeats and are geared up for a fierce encounter in Match 11 of the IPL. The spotlight falls on Lucknow Super Giants, led by dynamic duo of KL Rahul and Quinton de Kock, who are eager to shake off the disappointment of their opening match defeat. While both teams strive for improvement, LSG holds the edge with 2 wins in 3 encounters against Punjab. Bolivian, Argentine and Peruvian artists spent part of Good Friday carving large religious images depicting the way of the cross stations out of sand in dunes in western Bolivia. The festival is an annual tradition that has been running for over 17 years, drawing large numbers to marvel at the sand creations. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.